Hani and Sheh Murid is an epic ballad of Baluchi classical literature. This story is to Baluchistan what Romeo and Juliet is to the West. The story mirrors the lifestyle of Baloch heroes and their emotions and philosophical ideas. Let's listen and watch the story. The story of Hani and Sheh Murid. In the province of Baluchistan of Pakistan, the story of Hani and Sheh Murid has gained such acceptance in public, romantic, and historical stories that it has not been found in any other story. One of the many reasons for the effectiveness of this story is the temperament and cultural character of the people of Baluchistan, who hate the oppressor and support the oppressed. No matter who the oppressor is, Baluch's neck does not bow before him. Hani and Sheh Murid are probably the oldest of the folk tales of Baluchistan, as one of its main characters is Mir Chakar Khan Rend, chief of the Rend tribe, also known as Chakar-i-Azam in history. He is the same Mir Chakar Khan whose father, Shah, led the Baluch tribes from Sistan and Makran to Sibi and Soran in the Kaki region in the late 15th and early 16th century. Then Mir Chakar Khan Rend and his warlords established the Baluch government in Sibi and Dardar. Since one of the main characters in this story is Mir Chakar Khan Rend himself, it is not difficult to gauge the antiquity of the story. This was the time when the Mughal Emperor Humayun regained the throne of Delhi. The hero of this love story and his rival were both poets, and this story is found in the form of poetry composed by its characters. Later, some other Baluch poets have also narrated it. Mir Chakar Khan Rend was the chief of his tribe, and the people of other tribes also recognized his chieftaincy. He was very brave, well in understanding, and an excellent administrator. At the same time, there was another chief named Sheh Mubarak. Although he was not as great in leadership and rank, however, everyone respected him because of his greatness and good name. He was equally popular in the people because of his manners and habits. Sheh Mubarak had a son who was famous for his beauty and youth, and his name was Sheh Murid. He was handsome as well as distinguished in his youth. He was known among peers for courage and bravery. He was second to none in the immediate vicinity. It was a sign of his strength that the bow which he used to shoot arrows was so heavy that no other person could use it. It was beyond the reach of a common man. Sheh Murid was a very good horse rider, and he was very fond of hunting. As one of the famous poets of his time, he was prone to romance and aesthetics, which led him to enjoy archery, javelin throwing, swordsmanship, and hunting, as well as dancing and singing. Doing so was part of his routine. In this way, he spent most of his time in leisure and luxury. His father explained it to him and said, "Son, change your lifestyle, dancing is not good for you." But such advice had no effect on Sheh Murid. He would parry his father's words by saying yes. He was very proud of his youth and beauty. He was betrothed in his childhood to Hani, the beautiful daughter of his uncle Mir Mando. Hani was the most beautiful girl of her tribe, and Sheh Murid loved her immensely. Not only did he love her, but Hani also loved her very much, and both of them were anxiously counting the days and waiting for the time to come when they would get married. Sheh Murid used to recite poetry in love of Hani and praise her beauty. He was not only a lover of Hani's beauty and youth, but Mir Chakar Khan Rend, the chief of the tribe, was also fascinated by her and used to make plans to get her. Even though he was well aware that Hani was engaged to Sheh Murid, his eyes were still fixed on her. However, he did not want to do anything that would tarnish his reputation. He was the chief of the tribe, so he was very careful, but in his heart, he kept thinking of ways to get Hani. He wanted to somehow break his engagement with Sheh Murid so that he could marry her, but how could that be? He did not see any way of doing so. One day, Mir Chakar Khan gave a splendid feast in the honor of some of the leading people, in which other chiefs and dignitaries of the tribe were present. He arranged food and drink as well as a dancing and singing party. When they finished eating and drinking, they said, "Now let's have fun." Mir Chakar had already arranged it. "As you wish." He immediately ordered the servants to warm up the dance party. The dancers were waiting for his command. As soon as he called them, They came. The guests immediately sat down in a circle and a series of dances began. Everyone was already drunk, dancing and singing made the atmosphere even intoxicating. Everyone in the party, big or small, began to sway. On this occasion, a trick came to Mir Chakar's mind. Addressing the other chiefs, he said, "We must all make some commitment to commemorate today's invitation." "That's fine. That way we will always remember this function. But remember, we have to fulfill our promise in any case, even if we have to give our lives for it." "We approve. Whoever makes a statement here will also fulfill it." Everyone promised and Mir Chakar said, "Let me make my point first." On this, the eyes of the whole party fixed on him to see what Mir Chakar would say. When Chakar saw that everyone was attentive to him, he said, "I promise I will not lie for the rest of my life." Another chief, Jaro, said, "I promise that if anyone touches my beard, I will kill him, whoever he is." Bebug's son Hebatan was also present at the ceremony. When he saw that everyone was speaking, he went ahead. He first touched his beard 7 times and then said, "I promise that if someone's camels are found in my camel enclosure, I will not return them." Thus, when the others had given their opinion, Mir Chakar looked at Sheh Murid and said, "Yes, Sheh Murid, now it's your turn." Yes, Sheh Murid should also give his opinion. Some other people also supported Mir Chakar. In reply, Sheh Murid first took a look at everyone and then looking at Mir Chakar said, "You have all given your opinion, so I will not lag behind you." When everyone turned to him, he said, "I promise you that if someone will raise his hands in front of me, and will ask me for something, I will never disappoint him." Thus, several people who participated in Mir Chakar's invitation gave their own verdict and also claimed that they would fulfill their verdict in any case, even if it costs their lives. Anyway, everyone knew very well that if a Balak gave his word, he would fulfill it till death. The people who made the promise also knew very well that their promise had to be fulfilled. They were convinced that they would live up to the promise they had made. Mir Chakar knew very well that Hani was the daughter of Sheh Murid's uncle Mando and they were both engaged, yet he was in love with Hani and wanted to marry her. He often made plans to marry Hani in his imagination. Sheh Murid and Chakar Khan grew up playing together. Therefore, Sheh Murid also had the honor of being the companion of Chakar Khan. One day Mir Chakar and Sheh Murid went on hunting with other people and both went far ahead of their companions in search of prey. Both of them were riding for long and were very thirsty. They said to each other, "Feeling thirsty. We should drink water from somewhere." They searched far and wide but found no well. When they went a little farther, they saw a town. Mir Chakar said, "Come on, let's go to this town and drink water there." When the Chakar said this, Sheh Murid said, "Chief, my Hani also lives in this town and I cannot go to her house before marriage due to local custom. She is my fiancée and hides from me." Mir Chakar replied, "Maybe you don't know, my fiancée also lives in the same town and I can't go to her house either." Then he said without hearing the answer of Sheh Murid, "This is what we have to do. You go to my fiancé's house to drink water and I will go to your fiancé's house. In this way, both will quench our thirst." Sheh Murid liked the suggestion, although Mir Chakar's intention in implementing this suggestion was that he would take a closer look at Hani under this pretext. He told Sheh Murid the address of his fiancé's house and asked him about Hani's house. And then the two reached the village. When Mir Chakar Khan reached Hani's house, she treated him with great politeness and respect and asked, "Chief, what brought you here?" He replied, "I went hunting and became very thirsty. Give me some water." Hani immediately went inside the house and brought a clean bowl full of water, but she did so by putting some clean straw in the bowl full of water. "Take it, get some water." Mir Chakar took the bowl from her and when he started drinking water, he saw straws in it and stopped for a moment. The first thought was to ask Hani to bring another bowl, but he was very thirsty, so without saying anything he slowly started drinking small sips of water in such a way that the straws fell to the bottom of the bowl. He drank the whole water, but thought in his heart that Hani had given water very rudely. She did not even see that there were straws in it. Anyway, he thanked her and came back a little angry. As soon as he came back, he saw Sheh Murid lying on the ground, weeping. He was very surprised. It was fine some time before, but now what had happened to it? He asked. What happened to you? Why are you lying on the ground? In reply, Sheh Murid told him that he had gone to Mir Chakar's fiancée house and asked for water, and she brought him a bowl full of water. I was tired after the trip and thirsty, so I drank all the water without breathing. As a result, I started vomiting and my condition worsened. When Mir Chakar heard this, he understood why Hani had put the straws in the bowl. The purpose was to make me drink water slowly. He was already fascinated by her beauty, now he was convinced of her wisdom. He had become even crazier about Hani. He said to himself, in any case, I will get Hani. After seeing her so closely, talking to her, and evaluating her wisdom, his desire increased even more. Returning from the hunt, he began to think of a way to achieve his goal. While thinking, he remembered, Sheh Murid had given words in a function that when something will be demanded from him, he will not refuse to give it. As soon as he remembered this, he made a plan and waited for the opportunity and time for it. Coincidentally, one day Sheh Murid arranged a feast. The dance party had not even started yet. Mir Chakar Khan had already taught the singers and dancers by giving prizes that when the party is over, and Sheh Murid asks you for your wish, you should demand Hani from him and at the same time ask him to break the engagement. The dancers obeyed his orders. The concert was at its peak and Sheh Murid was having fun with the guests. He was overjoyed and drunk, because he was the one who had arranged the concert, and the dancers and singers also performed very well. Not only Sheh Murid but all the guests in the party were swaying happily. Then, when the concert was over, Sheh Murid praised the dancers and singers as well as gave them prizes and asked, "You guys made everyone happy today. Tell me, what do you want?" Singers and dancers had already decided what to do. When he asked this, after a few moments of hesitation, they said, "You are already very kind to us." But Sheh Murid was overjoyed at the time. He began to insist, "Brother, what do you want?" Now the time had come for them to follow Mir Chakar's orders. They said, "We know you are true to your words. Yet you promise us that you will not refuse what we ask for?" I had promised this before in the party of Mir Chakar that in my whole life, I will not disappoint anyone who will ask me for something, and now I again tell you that I will not deny it. They said hesitantly, "We need Hani, we want you to end your engagement to her so that she can marry Mir Chakar, the chief of Rhind tribe." "Give my Hani? What are you guys saying? Is this something to ask for?" Sheh Murid jumped and all his intoxication was gone. Despite his intoxication, he realized that it was a trap set by Mir Chakar in which he has been trapped. The trick had succeeded and Sheh Murid could do nothing. He promised to keep his promise again. He could not back down from his promise because he had given his words. So he said, "Apart from myself, I am also wronging my Hani, but I have given my word. Go, I have given you Hani and also broken my engagement." Then he went on to say, "Hani is my fiancée but she is not mine anymore. Go to her parents to get her." Upon hearing this, they ran to Mir Chakar and told him the good news that Sheh Murid had broken off his engagement to Hani. Mir Chakar was overjoyed to hear this. He rewarded the dancers and promised more. He was very happy with the success of the trick he had played. On the other hand, as soon as the news reached Hani, it was as if she was half dead. But at that time Mir Chakar did not care about anyone. He did not consider it necessary to delay the matter, and within a few days, he married Hani and brought her home. Although Hani had become his wife, he had only taken possession of her body. As far as the soul was concerned, she was still with Sheh Murid. Her heart was still beating for Sheh Murid. She sang tragic songs in his separation and was lost in his memory. He never thought that the palace of her sweet dreams would come down like that. He didn't know what to do or not to do and where to go. He became mad with grief of Hani's separation. He had no interest in hunting and was no longer seen at friends' parties. He was there all the time and remembered Hani. Day or night, Hani's face remained in front of his eyes and he kept shedding tears remembering her. His grief was even greater because he had made it all at his own. He had also thrown Hani in the furnace of sorrow with him. His poetry was immersed in Hani's love and affection. Now it was even sorer. He used to go out in the forest, wander in the morning, and recite poems in Hani's separation, which still testified his love. Hani's condition was not much different, but she had become the wife of Mir Chakar and, so she was taking care of herself. It was difficult to meet because she was locked in the fort of Mir Chakar with high walls and tall minarets. It was not easy to enter the fort whose large strong gates were closed at night and there were many servants during the day. Despite this, Sheh Murid did not have patience. He used to wander around the fort at night to elude the eyes of the people so that Hani might be seen somewhere. But Hani was locked inside the thick walls of the fort which were constantly monitored, then how could she reach his eyes? It was difficult for Sheh Murid to understand that. He had already passed the stage of understanding. When the news of his insanity reached Hani, she sent him a message and said, Mir Chakar's bloodthirsty guards stand on the towers of the fort all the time. If one day they see you, they will hang your head on the wall of the fort. Take care of yourself. Sheh Murid answered this in verses which meant something like this. My brave mother has been breastfeeding me. As a child, my brave midwife used to sing me lullabies. My mother's milk and midwife's lullabies were not like that. Today I am afraid of the guards of a man like Mir Chakar. His madness grew day by day. When his father Mubarak saw his condition, he explained. Son, don't be mad. Under no circumstances can you compete with Mir Chakar. He is no ordinary person. Thousands of young people at one point. Riding on genuine horses armed. Ready to die. All the advice of the father was useless for the Sheh Murid. He had forgotten himself in the love of Hani. He was not conscious enough to think of his advantage or disadvantage. He saw nothing but Hani in everything. The poems he verses in response to his father were as follows. Hani is the queen of beautiful maidens. That shines like lightning in the night. It awakens dreamy hearts. That's why I'm crazy. When the father saw that his advice was not having any effect on Sheh Murid, he wanted to frighten him with the terror and arrogance of Mir Chakar, but his reply was as follows. Mir Chakar is a man like me. The only difference between him and me is that the Baluchs have recognized him as their leader. But I am no less brave and courageous. People also remember me as a bloodthirsty Sheh Murid. Mountains and fortresses are in my way. Can't dare to be an obstacle. In this way, Sheh Murid remained steadfast and spent the nights around the fort of Mir Chakar. One night he passed outside the fort walls singing his poems 3 times, and each time Hani heard his voice and went to the tower of the fort to see him. She was bareheaded when she first went. When she went for the second time, she covered her head with a scarf. And when she went for the third time, her hair was scattered, which flew in the air and covered her face. At that time Mir Chakar was also awake and watching Hani coming and going. It is also narrated that Hani went to the stable where Sheh Murid was hiding. When she returned, Mir Chakar inquired the cause of horses' distress, and she said that the horses were disturbed by the thunder. The next day, when Mir Chakar's court was convened, he asked the audience, Tell me, how many times was there lightning last night? In response, everyone remained silent because no one understood the question. Finally, Arend said, Chief, there were no clouds last night. Then how could lightning flash? Sheh Murid and his father Sheh Mubarak were also called for in this court, so they were also present there. Addressing Mir Chakar, Sheh Murid said, "Shall I answer if you allow me and are not angry?" "I will not be angry at all." Upon receiving permission, Sheh Murid said, "Lightning flashed 3 times at night. The first time there was a bright light, the second time there was intermittent dim light, and the third time when the lightning flashed there were clouds." By saying so, neither the people of the court could understand anything nor Sheh Murid himself was satisfied. He thought that Mir Chakar had promised not to be angry, so he said clearly. That high torch was Hani, Mir Chakar Ren's wife Hani. Sheh Murid had insulted the chief in full court. Had he promised not to be angry, Sheh Murid might have lost his life. In any case, he subdued his anger, but Mubarak, who was there, said to his son, "You should respect the chief and not say such a thing about his wife." The verses recited by Sheh Murid in response were as follows. "O father, Hani's beauty is like fire, and you have not yet burned in the fire of beauty. O father, Hani is the most beautiful woman in the world. If you fall in love with Hani, you will go crazy with joy, and you will start dancing madly." Hearing these improper verses of his son, Sheh Mubarak became furious, took off his shoe and hit him. Sheh Murid was insulted in such a crowded gathering, and this insult was made from his father's side, to whom he could not say anything. However, he decided that he would no longer stay at home and would leave forever. He recited the following verses on that occasion. "Oh, my father! You have insulted me by hitting me with a shoe. I swear, I'll take my hair off. And I'll be gone soon. I will go and live in a distant country. I will give up my precious weapons. And I'll leave my precious clothes." When his father found out that Sheh Murid was leaving, he was very sad and sorry. He thought that he should not have beaten his son in front of everyone. He explained it to him a lot. Expressed his remorse, but Sheh Murid did not listen to him. He had made up his mind, so he dressed up as a mendicant and joined a group of dervishes and left for Mecca. Despite going away from his homeland, the blazing fire of love in his heart did not cool down, and even while staying there, he kept reciting poems in memory of Hani. Here, too, the helpless Hani was tormented alone in the separation of his memory. She was not happy in palace, and she never allowed Mir Chakar Rind to come near her. Thus many years had passed since Sheh Murid went to Mecca. After a long time, his heart wanted him to go back to his homeland and see how Hani was, how her family was. Coincidentally, a group of dervishes was coming to Balochistan. He joined them and reached his homeland once again. When he reached near the fort of Mir Chakar, some young men were engaged in archery. He also remembered his time when no one could match him in archery. Reluctantly, he stepped forward and asked for a bow. When a young man gave him a bow, he drew it. But it broke in two. He took the second bow, it also broke, and then the same fate befell the third bow. Thus, 3 consecutive bows were broken, and the people present there were looking at the strange dervish in amazement. Someone said, "The bow of Sheh Murid should be brought from his house. That bow is made of iron and is so heavy that no one can pull it except Sheh Murid." At that moment, 2 or 3 young men ran to Sheh Murid's house and brought the bow. When Sheh Murid saw his bow, he was happy in his heart. No one could recognize him yet because he had grown a beard and was dressed as a dervish. He took the bow, kissed it, and drew. The first arrow hit the ball. He shot the second arrow, and it went and joined the first. Seeing this, someone from the crowd said aloud, "There can be no one but Sheh Murid who pulls this iron bow. Of course it is Sheh Murid." The news reached Hani, and as soon as she heard it, a wave of life ran through his feeble body. When the family of Sheh Murid heard this, they too came running, and in a short time, many people had gathered around Sheh Murid, including young and old. At the same time, some minor Baluch chiefs consulted with one another. Together they went to Mir Chakar and requested, "Chief, we request you to give the 2 lovers a chance to spend the last part of their lives together. Sheh Murid and Hani have suffered a lot. Mir Chakar also realized that he had not yet won Hani's heart despite making her his wife. So much time has passed, but the lamp of the love of Sheh Murid was still burning in her heart. He began to think in his heart, he should not oppress her anymore. It is better that I give him my trust in the same way as Sheh Murid had entrusted it to me and return his trust to him. Thinking this, he allowed the chiefs. I agree with your suggestion. Now they went to Sheh Murid and told him that Mir Chakar had decided to divorce Hani. Sheh Murid stood in the middle of the crowd and satirized the society and customs and said that you people have separated two hearts, lovers. When I needed Hani, you rejected me. Now I reject your suggestion. Saying this, he healed the horse and set out again for a new world.